Greetings, Zog-laying whigger and mamzer ass clowns across the route and Zog plain here in the open air, coast to coast in that house we call Zog Babylon, the third and the final. But this is yet another, this is the 26th of September 2022 of Mad Dog's Musings. I'm running as a write-in candidate for United States Senator. And yesterday, at nightfall, it was the very first day. Well, it's a Feast of Trumpets. The 3 days you'll have the Day of Atonement. But right now, I want to go ahead and talk about my racism. I want to go ahead and talk about your chicken shit conservative racism. My open, honest, white supremacist, balls to the wall, Aryan nations racism, which is definitely there, and yours, which is, well, cowardly and chicken shit. Now, a couple months ago, for some reason, I got invited to Neosho, Newton County Conservatives. And they asked a few questions. Are you conservative? Well, no. I'm really more of I'm not really a reactionary. What I am is I'm a racial revolutionary is what I am. In fact, I want to see, nothing more than this gigantic, mighty, evil empire torn apart. Instead of having a third of a billion humanzers, as I call it, essentially mainly mixed race people, who used to be majority sort of whitish here, majority whigger and mamzer, ass clowns here. I think that it's inevitable that there will be soon, very soon, and that's what the Feast of Trumpets represents. It represents the absolute, destruction of man and Satan's governments working together. And what it will do is that Satan will have his way. And I covered last night, the Leviticus chapter 23, which tells all the holidays. I went ahead and told the Matthew 24 and 25, when Christ was talking about the end days here, and how they would come, and no one would know. It'd be like the days of Noah. In fact, worse than the days of Noah, because the people of Noah lived in a Terran basin about 350 miles wide and 600 miles long, and they got a whole week's notice. They got 120 years notice, where Noah was mainly preaching to them, and you don't know if people heard it, because the ones who did listen and obey, not only stopped race mixing, but what they did is that they went ahead and moved to other places than where Adam had gone in refuge later on. So you had them living in this basin. You had this living in this basin, but they got a whole week's notice when Methuselah, died. At the unheard of age of 969 years, essentially 31 years less than 1,000. Adam only chose 930 because he was told that normal Adamic men would only you'd get 1,000 here divvied up between, and Adam chose 930, and most of us get 70, or 70 years. But anyway, what they did is that they had, they lived up, and you'd end up having some brown Davidians sneaking through the, passes in the Himalayas, and you'd end up having some Chinese coming in, and the Jews were under Cain, Sargon, way around in Mesopotamia. And then you end up having the other sons and daughters of Adam who lived in Europe. At that time. So and Adamic man, according to Septuagint, is only about 5,500 BC, so essentially it's about 7,500 years old. And there were a number of things which happened around 5,500, so, Cro-Magnon turned from Homo sapiens to Homo sapiens sapiens, or modern man. So, in any case, what you have is that here I am invited, and to me it doesn't really matter, except that you have all the county politicians. You have Alan Cook. You end up having a number of them here. They all want to be, because there's a closing here. And guess what? In Newton County, the election that matters is the Republican primary election on August 2nd. Because around here, the Democrats gave up, and Roxy, she got a broken hip, so I couldn't run her no more. And I'm running as a write-in candidate. So there's no Democrats or Libertarians. It's about, 28, 29, 30% on a good time for Democrats. Occasionally they'll run when they see a bunch of stuff really bad happening here among the Republicans. But usually, you win the Republican primary, you win, county office here in Newton County, Missouri, especially in the county seat of Neosho here. And what they are is they're just simply middle-class Ozarkian town whiggers. So, they, it sort of reminds me of Pat Kelly. He goes ahead and he wears a shirt saying, there's only one race, the white race. And he's working with with Brian Rio and the rest here. And so, they look upon their fathers and grandfathers were really a bunch of Klansmen. If they weren't Klansmen, they certainly felt that way, and they still do. They really do not want to be that close to the Mexicans. There's a bunch of them on that because of chicken plant, and there were some from the Neosho because of chicken plant. But they really don't want anything to do with the Negroes. And North Neosho used to be known as, Negro Town, although the word wasn't Negro. So, what to do? So, you end up having this character come on just the last 3 or 4 days. But instead, I managed to go ahead and make it till August 2nd. I did not give any endorsements, other than to that Jew, Eric Greitens here, who, admittedly, he is a Jew and a scumbag and all that, but I wanted to just make the Republicans just crap here, But in any case, here I am, and I have not been allowed, since after I got out of jail in the nut house here, to run as an open white supremacist candidate on the Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, or Constipation Party. In fact, the Constipation Party, it used to be the U.S. Taxpayers Party. It came into existence, I think, in 1994. I went ahead and signed for them to petition signatures for them to become an official party. It was run by a Jew named Howard Phillips. And I wasn't too crazy about that, and I did go ahead and meet him here when they were making a big deal in 1998. But I was still running as a Libertarian back then. And the thing about it is, what do you call a Negro, amongst a bunch of old whiggers? A bunch of old whiggers just out to go ahead and show that they are racist. They ain't racist. We ain't racist. We call it, a lone Negro sitting around a bunch of old boomer and greatest degeneration, whiggers here. Into Republican or whatever, Reform Party, it don't matter, politics. The answer is Mr. Chairman. And right now in Missouri, back in 2004, you have the same Negro named Paul Venable, and he was made chairman of the Idaho Constitution Party, so he went ahead and told Edgar Steele he couldn't run. Now, all this sort of stupid crap is totally unlawful, because way back in the 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s, you had the Texas all-white primary. And in the case of Smith, Lonnie Smith versus Allgood, who was the, the Democrat Secretary of State, he wanted to run the Texas all-Democrat, white Democrat Party. And pretty well, what they say, same thing Republicans and the rest, libertarians, whatever say, it's a private organization. We can go ahead and discriminate if we want. Well, the Supreme Court went ahead and ruled is that no, you couldn't have an all-white Texas Democrat primary. Major landmark case here, because now Negroes could go ahead and run and have other Negroes vote for them. So in parts of Chicago and Mississippi and other places here, they could actually get reelected, like they couldn't during Reconstruction. And what with LBJ doing the same thing here with the Civil Rights Act here? Well, hey, you ended up having them just like a Blockbuster here, where they get one house in a town, formerly white suburb here. They just bust it on through. They blockbust the entire thing through here, and then everybody is out, out to sell their houses before the mass of who moves in. Well, it's the same way politically. So anyway, thanks to Trader Glenn Miller, can't go ahead and do it. But Edgar Steele went ahead and told, Paul Venable, he'd gone ahead and he had a whole bunch of old whigger Mormons who went ahead and elected him chairman of the Constitution Party of Idaho. And you already have people running from California and running from other places. And, just like, it's a story of Californication here with whiggers. What they do is they immediately turn the place into the same crap hole that they left. Doesn't change. They go ahead and turn it into the exact same crap hole that they ran away from. So what to say, what to do? Anyway, in 2016, Venable moved to Lincoln, Missouri, and guess what? Same bunch of whiggers go ahead and vote him in the chairman, and he runs for United States Senate. He's not going to allow me to run for United States Senate. I haven't, talked for 2 hours. And what happens, like a lot of Negroes here, they get in, they go ahead and get in, and then they repeat the stuff from common law courts, which was pretty well derived by a bunch of Klansmen and the rest here, about how the government wants to put Negroes back on the plantation here. And that's what you end up having. All these Republicans have their little token Negro here. So what do you call a Negro who is sitting among a bunch of old boomer whiggers, at a county or, even a statewide event? Answer, Mr. Chairman. It is hilarious, especially in places like Missouri, and I guess in Idaho too here. So, I'm having to go ahead and run as a write-in. But here you have somebody like, oh, there's no race other than the white race. Well, guess what? Pat, jackass Kelly, why don't you just go ahead and put on a shirt saying, I moved to Granby for the Negroes. You know what I mean? I had to battle one Jewy-looking character in Chicago. He bitched about when I got quoted. I did not get totally misquoted, although I had said something other, and it got changed to blacks and Hispanics, and blacks and Hispanics is not what I said here. But in any case, you dare say I say a whole awful lot wilder things. I'm not a conservative. I'm not really a reactionary. I want to go ahead and destroy the current system here. I want to go ahead and Chernobyl, the North Perry nuclear power plant. I want to go ahead and destroy the Ohi Dam and flush away Pierre and Fort Pierre. Like before Noah, and like Sodom and Gomorrah in the case of Northeast Ohio. I want to go ahead and get down to what? Less than 30 million whites who are ruled by local theocratic military warlords which I call the 10,000 Warlords program. I'm an out-and-out white supremacist. I'm not a conservative. So anyway, some character named Jay Harrison shows up. He's just like every other little antifa ZOGbot. Do you know you have a racist and a white supremacist and an Aryan nation's pastor? Blah, 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 blah. And pretty well I go ahead and answer, well, shoot, I've never hid that. Never hid that at all. I've been in what we call our movement or our little thing for, sometime in the very late 80s or the early 90s, although I don't think I got detected as such until 1993 when I was making a newsletter and starting militia groups here. But yeah, I've been, pretty well, I've been known since after Waco. I was sort of unknown except, on a need-to-know basis here in the late 80s and early 90s here. But yeah, I've been a white supremacist, political, racial and political activist here. Don't hide for it. I have no use for non-whites. I don't think they should live in our country. I don't think Jews, certainly, Jews are spawn of Satan. They ought to be exterminated. I have nothing but respect for Chancellor Hitler and for King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella in 1492 who ran them out, and for King Edward I who in 1290, he was the bad king in Braveheart, who also ran them out of England in 1290. People got tired of their crap here and ran them out. Told them not to show up. If anybody showed up, well, guess what? Anybody could go ahead and kill a Jew they wanted to. No questions asked. They're not allowed. You know what I mean? It was the John Wesley Hardin, means of border control, which is pretty well what we need to get back here. Mexicans on the wrong side. Well, guess what? John Wesley Hardin, he's riding the desert alone. He sees one and says, well, guess what? I'm going to provide employment for, what? Buzzards and coyotes. Just like, the outlaw Josie Wells says, is that buzzards and coyotes got to eat, same as worms here. That's the burial they'll get. So, anyway, here comes this Jay Harrison, and he showed up last year on September 11th. He's going to get some character who's a liberal in Carthage, and works for some heating and air conditioning unit here, and he's screwing with them. So then he takes a big break, and guess what? Shows up on Neosho, Newton County community forums or whatever. Well, I gotta go ahead and laugh here because, hey, this character's an obvious ZOGbot. But I go ahead and tell the administrators that, hey, I don't want to get you on Facebook. I don't want to get you kicked out. Because this guy's already threatened. What are you going to do, owner, administrator? What are you going to do? I said, well, shoot, if you have to do. Kick me out. Well, I went ahead and wrote a big screed because I was talking to another guy, and I talked to him at the Newton County Courthouse on the 2nd of August night here. And we only talked for about 10 minutes. And generally, he said that he'd gone to the January 6th thing. And I said, look, my position is don't go to Charlottesville, don't go to the January 6th thing, don't go to any of these places. Why do you have to pretend that you still have rights? Why do you think that voting's going to go ahead and change anything? Why are you so stupid here? That you think that just because you went ahead and voted for someone means you're going to go ahead and get what you want. I mean, hell, I went ahead and I got 20% of the vote, back in 2020. And, well, hey, according to the law, this guy was, signed on 11 minutes and then he ran off immediately. And then Crooked Ira went ahead and pointed all sorts of middle priests, all sorts of critters here to suit himself here. You know what I mean? And pretty well all these people have done is just steal from Granby here. I mean, you go to a city council meeting and it's a hoot here. what they want to do is maybe we ought to go ahead and allow people to have more than 5-year-old double wides. You think? Maybe you ought to do like just before Barry Flint decided to do away with single wides altogether and, you know, older double wides, simply because he wanted to go ahead and rent out for his brand new trailer park. He didn't want poor white people who want to have kids who would go ahead and grow the town. He didn't want them to be able to go ahead and buy a $1,000 or $2,000 trailer and spend a couple $100, because he wanted to go ahead and charge them $300-400 a month. And then because the town marshal wouldn't go ahead and enforce their bullshit, you know, their made up little bullshit, to where, guess what? We got elected to a homeowners association. No, you did not. The vast majority of the town were here long before you came around. And some of them are, you know, addicts. Some of them are child molesters. A lot of them are crackheads. But the good thing is that being crackheads, you know, and used to be meth cookers here, what happens is that they're not taking the fentanyl, especially loaded with, you know, horse antibiotic that goes ahead and eats human flesh here. That's pretty well in Ohio. That's pretty well Ohio in a rust belt, you know, upper, middle and lower class sort of thing here. You know, it's just killing whiggers dead here. A lot of Negroes dead too, but in case. So here, you know, here it is. I mean, you go ahead, you go to a Granby City Council meeting, and, you know, they're talking about how some guy went ahead and made 4 pallets of the tarp and he made a house here. And they can't do anything about it, but maybe we ought to go ahead and let them have another, you know, a little bit older trailer house. Well, maybe you ought to just get out of the, you know, the trailer house outlawing business altogether, seeing as how you can't prevent yourself from letting senile heifer Joyce Mann buy a used double wide, and she doesn't, you know, she doesn't notify the neighbors, she doesn't put it in the paper, she doesn't wait 10 days, you know, just a day and a half, and you already have your little secret meeting here, to where you go ahead and vote in this stuff here. And then later on, somebody goes ahead and buys a trailer park, and they want to go ahead and put half as many trailer houses. That's what it calls for. Oh no, we can't do that. Look, folks, these people, these Granby councilors are just as much thieves here. But they love to pretend, just like Pat Kelly, white supremacy has no place in Granby. Well, in reality, it has a definite place in about 70% of the white male population. I'm just the most honest about it here, you know what I mean? I mean, come on, Pat. You know, just go ahead. You like wearing t-shirts? Just, I come to Granby for the Negroes. and the same thing. What happens is that I went ahead and wrote, you know, telling this guy to talk to for 10 minutes. And I essentially knew he was a candidate for county commissioner. I think he was the smartest of the, you know, candidates for the county commissioner. I really did. I really thought he was the smartest of all the candidates. He admits that, you know, Newton County needs about 12,000 more units here because Neosho is growing quite a bit because it's on the crossroads of I-49 and I-44, and it's cheaper than Joplin. Just like Granby could go ahead and be built here if they would get their sewer and water problem fixed. They're not going to get their sewer and water problem fixed. Why are they not going to get their sewer and water problem fixed? The problem is that Granby is on, you know, a number of hills which have been hollowed out or been mined fairly deep for lead. And so when those mines are abandoned here, you not only have sinkholes, but what you have is you end up having all the sewage, which has been there, and it goes down. And it has a couple 100-foot advance notification to the aquifer, the main aquifer. The one at 700 foot here, which was well number 1, is just pretty well greatly contaminated with sulfur. Well number 3 has sulfur. Well number 2 is better. But then again, it's not on top of what used to be, or below what used to be mining land here. The problem is with Granby is that you got to have a good sewer system, a tight sewer system. And what, since they obviously can't or won't fix the pipes because they haven't, and they wouldn't fix any new ones, which they were paid for with massive debt here, what Granby needs is to pretty well do like Purcell and just sell it to the Missouri American Water System. And what they do is they'll initially filter the water, put chlorine in it. But what they will do is they'll fix the sewer pipes to go ahead, to keep from filtering more out. And then maybe they'll just put a dam, a reservoir across Shoal Creek, which has, more water than western area rivers do here. And, we'll have a small fishing reservoir lake here, have plenty of water. And, that'll be, and essentially, you don't have to pay these crooked bastards here, on the council, these crooked, evil, stupid bastards. You don't have to go ahead and pay them because they are going ahead and let their idiot friends and all that here go ahead and steal from the city government here. You'll go ahead and get that out of their paws, the sewer and the water. So as a result, Granby could be upgraded a bit. But you still have all this old housing here. Now, I bought mine cheap here. I bought a house, half-acre land for $3,000 back in 1987. Why? Because I got into a bunch of old people who were born. Some of them were born in the tail end of the 19th century. Some were born at the very beginning of the 20th century. If they're alive today, they'd be 100. Be 100 some, but in any case, so you have all this old housing, essentially back when a house just used to be a place where you lived in during the night. You used to have people, the farmers had, I think, about 13 kids, and they lived in a house which was about 8 by 16, something like that here. They were just jam-packed in there. You still see the foundations here, across the street here. People didn't live in a mansion here. They used to live, in some cases, they used to live in a tar paper shack here with feral cement in it here. But, getting to Neosho, Newton County, what happens, went ahead, posted that. And then later on, it came in, and guess what? Just like Granby Thoughts and Views, Neosho, Newton County Conservatives disappeared from Facebook. Now, I can go ahead and look at it again, but why bother? Look, let's just understand something. Most whiggers, they, they're just like gliberal whiggers, on Martha's Vineyard. They talk MLK here, Martin Luther King, but they want to live KKK. They live their lives as liars, politically, racially, religiously. They don't want to simply, when I was talking here, they don't want to simply, number one, obey Yahweh's laws, that His commandments, and to, the very first thing is that you worship Yahweh and Christ. If you want to go ahead and have eternal life, that's what you're going to have to do. But you're going to have to go ahead and first you're going to have to obey Yahweh's laws. which he gave to Moses, which Moses went ahead and gave to our ancestors, the children of Israel here. So if you don't really believe that, so what happens is that living a life politically, as well as normally here, just living as a quote, this is why I call most of the faction, over in Newton County here, I call them the Christian scumbag faction here. You know what I mean? If you want to be a Christian scumbag, I mean, some of you might understand, although you might very well have a sear on your conscience, or like my brother, killing our mother and embezzling $250,000, $300,000, or you might want to be like these judges in South Dakota. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and do my best to destroy the Ahi Dam and flood away Pierre and Fort Pierre, and make every lawyer, every judge, every cop, every politician, every lawyer, I think I already said that, eat their spawn's nuts here. Even though they're allowed to live here, they still got to go ahead and do some nut eating, some spawn's nut eating here. They have to go ahead and pay with not only their lives, but the lives of their family, because guess what? I imagine that Gridge Grinder Greggy Stramble was, 5 years old? Before he turned into a homo, then he decided to go ahead and have some spawn, and here he is, like I told him on May 10th, I said, after I got arrested for, or maybe it was the 11th, when I started going ahead and, doing my beard arrangement like that, I said, it's a hell of a deal. The big old, homosexual, like you, because I want to keep this on YouTube, like you is accusing me of sodomy. And, well, if you don't want to be a gentleman, you can come back in a week. I said, after a week, I will be no gentleman, but you'll still be a sodomite. And Copeland, the sheriff here, the Anglo-Mestizo, Bell Priest sort of stuff, him, this other pig, were so mad. I think it was Levens. Were so mad they wanted to throw me through this window while I was handcuffed. Later on they threw me and knocked out 5 of my teeth here. That's why I have no use for pigs. Shoot. Just go ahead and, they like knocking out teeth here while they're shackled here. Just go ahead and chain up their entire family and load them up to the Crown Vic here and drag them around the courthouse 3 or 4 times until they've lost a bunch of teeth and a lot of hide here. They're pretty well dragged to death here. That's how you treat them. You don't treat pigs. You treat pigs the same way as they treat you, and then some. To where they don't want to be pigs no more, because it ain't safe here to be a bully or a coward or a rapist or a thief here. When you're not hiding behind the gun and the badge here. But anyway, what happens? I got kicked off of Facebook, and folks, I've been kicked off militia groups, who don't want to go ahead and admit. Why are you doing this shit here? Why you pretend to be something you're not? We don't want people to think we're racist. Well, folks, the original, quote, what became clans, is that there are, dozens of them here in this area of the state here. And they were survivalist groups, because people, even when I was a kid, sort of thought, you used to hear about as Zog go, as Rome went, Zog will go here, or the United States will go. They didn't call it Zog then. And people were worried about survival even when. I have this woman who's 7 years older than me, and they were already talking about when things fall apart, when the Russians, when the Soviets nuke the United States here, who would be allowed in their fallout shelter. Some of their own members of their family wouldn't here. You know what I mean? You had the same thing back in the late 50s here, and this woman was about 7 years older than me here. They were already talking about the fall of Zog here. So, anyway, folks, I can't really bitch here, because I did tell them, you have a ZOGbot on there, And he might very well go ahead and complain to Facebook, and probably he did. He whined a little bit about Facebook said you were protected. Well, I said Granby Uncensored is not unprotected. Granby Uncensored has been censored quite a few times by Facebook here. I don't know why they don't go ahead and just give me 3 strikes around here. I try not to go ahead and get more than 1 or 2 strikes per month here. I mean, if I get a strike here, I go ahead and bitch out. I think you're wrong, and then they say screw you, and I go ahead and it's gone. But meanwhile, it's on Granby. It's on Granby-mo.xyz/blog. So pretty well it's not censored on my own place. But yeah, I've been censored quite a bit on Facebook. Not permanently, because I think they want to keep an eye on me too. So anyway, that's what I want to go ahead and say is that, look, most of your, folks, I would probably vote Democrat before I'd vote Republican, because essentially all these Republicans, they don't give a crap for you. All they want to do is, get your vote and get your money and get your stupid loyalty, and they're going to go ahead and screw you over. They're sort of like the Zog Emperor Trump here. He gets screwed over, but he don't help anybody. He's sort of like Satan in how he rewards people here. And so I have a friend here. He's on the Trump train, he's off the Trump train, he's on the Trump train, he's off the Trump train. Me, I'm just sort of, running, right, just sticking around on the running boards of the Trump train. Not getting on the Biden bus here. I mean, shoot. It might go ahead and come to shooting here on the Biden bus here. But, if I get on the Trump train, I realize he's a buffoon. I realize he's a Zog Emperor here. But sometimes I like going ahead and, riding on the Trump train. But not too far, and I certainly ain't going to buy a ticket. So anyway, that's what I want to go ahead and say about, Facebook groups here. Don't take any of them seriously. Do not take social media seriously. The reason for the social media is that it goes ahead, just like in YouTube, it goes ahead and you got to be careful with what you say. You got to sort of skirt, about a foot beyond the line here. And then, just like the other day here, I got my foot past the line, I guess, according to Neosho, Newton County Conservatives. And guess what? That ZOGbot got my butt, kicked off here. Boo-hoo-hoo, boo-hoo-hoo. Boo-hoo. Anyway, it is September 26th, 2022, and it's 7:25. So until later, you can go ahead and send ZOGbucks if you want to. I'd really appreciate it if you would. To Pastor Martin Lindstedt, Lindstedt, 338 Rap Track Road, for those of you who are suspicious, although you should fear my brother Mother Killer's baby mama, the hippo, more here, because she has a mailbox next to it, and if you're stupid enough to send money and it goes to me and she decides to keep it here, you're going to go ahead and support baby pig and the hippo here. 338 Rap Track Road, the hippo address, or P.O. Box 666, Granby, Granby, Missouri, 64844. So until the next Mad Dogs music here, hail victory. I did tell you I'm a white supremacist, didn't I?